Hello, dear friends. My name is Batocher. I am an herbalist from Mongolia. Since childhood, I have watched how the older generations of my family used the power of nature to maintain health. Today, I want to share with you simple yet effective knowledge about herbs that can help maintain the health of the body and heart even in old age. Few consider that elderly people's hearts can stop not due to serious strain, but due to small things like a sudden spike in blood pressure or rhythm disturbances during sleep. However, there is one simple remedy, known in the villages, that has protected people from such dangerous moments for decades. Those who know about him can sleep peacefully, while the others risk every night. Before I tell you about the plant itself, let me ask you one important thing. If you want such simple knowledge about herbs to be accessible to everyone in need, support this project. Subscribe and like. In the comments write, "I choose nature" if you believe in the healing power of herbs, or "I choose pills" if you think medication is essential. Such interaction will help us understand the direction to move forward. Now let's discuss the issue many elderly face: heart health and blood pressure. For most, the heart is the first to send alarming signals: shortness of breath, fatigue, even after a short walk, dizziness, and ringing in the ears appear. In this case, the hawthorn comes to the rescue, one of the most reliable plants. In Mongolia, it is called the heartberry. Our elderly always kept dried hawthorn fruits at home. They brew them when the heart starts to falter or when the pressure behaves unpredictably. The flowers and fruits of hawthorn contain special substances, flavonoids, which dilate blood vessels, improve myocardial nutrition, and reduce the load on the heart. This is especially important in old age when blood vessels lose their elasticity and the heart becomes tired of working at the previous rhythm. Regular consumption of hawthorn infusion helps gently lower blood pressure, improves sleep, and reduces anxiety. Many of my students and patients noted that after the course of herbal infusion, they found it easier to endure physical exertion, less breathless on stairs, and complained less about heart irregularities. However, one must handle hawthorn with respect, as it is a powerful plant. One should not take it uncontrollably, especially those already on blood pressure or heart medications must be careful. In such cases, it's important to monitor one's health and check blood pressure and pulse. Let me tell you a story. I had an acquaintance named Boyerma, who was 74 years old. She often complained about fluctuations in blood pressure and heart problems. The doctors prescribed her medication, but she decided to add a course of hawthorn flower infusion to it. And already a month later, she told me that she was sleeping more peacefully and was less afraid that her heart would fail her at night. Of course, she continued taking her medication, but hawthorn had become her faithful ally. This is exactly how I recommend treating herbs, as helpers, as friends that work in tandem with doctors. Friends, if you have ever used hawthorn or heard about its positive effects from more experienced people, share your experiences in the comments. Share your own experience with hawthorn, or whether you are just following recommendations. Your words can help others confidently navigate this path, as many discoveries await us ahead. For nature holds solutions not only for the heart, but also for joints, blood, stomach, and kidneys. Each plant has its unique story and power, so don't miss the video until the end, as the third grass I will talk about will surprise you the most. Now let's discuss what worries many elderly people: joints. You know, friends, I often hear from the elders, "My legs ache, my hands hurt, it feels like there's a stone in my lower back." And almost everyone deep down thinks, "What can I do about aging?" But that's not true. Joints can be supported, pain can be reduced, and mobility can be restored. One of the most effective plants that helps joints is called marsh saber. In Mongolia, it has been known since ancient times as the root of pain. It was valued by hunters and herders who had to walk all day across the steppes, tired from the strain on their joints. They prepared an infusion of sabelnik and took it in courses to reduce inflammation and restore strength to their legs and arms. Sabelnik works differently than painkillers, which merely eliminate pain. His strength can be compared to a friend who gradually reduces inflammation in joint tissues, improves their nourishment, and restores mobility. Therefore, it is especially valued by people suffering from osteoarthritis, rheumatic pains, and age-related stiffness. When the joints lose elasticity, we begin to move cautiously, fearing pain. This leads to the surrounding muscles becoming even weaker, and the situation only worsens. The saber plant helps to break this vicious cycle. It supports the joints, allowing movement to become freer again, and with this comes a return of confidence in one's abilities. It is important to remember not to expect immediate results. The saber plant is a herb of patience, and it should be taken in courses over several weeks. It is then that you will notice the stiffness diminishing, movements becoming easier, and the joints no longer reminding you of themselves every minute. Let me tell you a story. My neighbor in the village, an elderly shepherd named Jargal, had long suffered from knee osteoarthritis. In winter, he hardly left the house as each step brought pain. One day he decided to try a course of Sabelnik infusion. And what do you think? In spring, he began to walk outside again. Of course, his joints were not like in youth, but he said, "I feel alive again. I can walk and not think about the pain." That's why I always advise elderly people not to procrastinate. If your joints have started to fail and cause concern, it's better to take care of them now than to wait until movement becomes difficult. There is another important aspect. Sabelnik is a herb that requires regular intake. The main thing is not to miss its consumption. If you take it for a course over several weeks, your joints will gradually start to thank you. Friends, if you've ever heard of Sabelnik or tried it for joint treatment, share your experience in the comments. Write, "I know the power of Sabelnik," or "I'm just observing." Your words can help others decide to try this method and support their health. And if you want more people to learn about such simple and accessible means, make sure this message reaches more people. For you, it's just a moment. But for us, it's great support that allows us to continue sharing useful knowledge. Remember, joints can be preserved, strengthened, and even their pain reduced, even in old age. This is not magic, but self-care that nature provides. Ahead of you awaits an even more interesting tale, for nature helps not only joints and the heart. There is a plant that supports metabolism and gently lowers blood sugar levels. Many gardeners know about it, but not everyone is aware of its amazing properties. Stay tuned, something truly interesting is ahead. Friends, it's time to discuss the illness that has become a companion to many people in adulthood. This is high blood sugar. Today, it's even said that diabetes is the plague of the 21st century. But do you know that even before the advent of pills and injections, people sought help in nature? One plant familiar to every gardener and villager can gently help regulate blood sugar levels. This refers to blueberry leaves. In Mongolia and Siberia, blueberries have always been revered. Their berries were considered a source of strength for the eyes and brain, but their leaves were no less beneficial. Our grandmothers collected them, dried them, and made a brew when someone complained of thirst, weakness, or frequent urges to use the toilet. They already understood that blueberry leaves help when blood sugar levels rise. Modern research confirms what our ancestors knew. Blueberry leaves contain substances that help cells absorb sugar better and gently lower its level in the blood, providing crucial support in old age. People note that the dryness in their mouths fades, the constant thirst diminishes, and it becomes easier to endure physical exertion. Furthermore, some even experience improved vision as the blood vessels in their eyes receive extra nourishment. But I want to emphasize a very important point. Blueberry leaves will not replace a doctor's appointment. If you have already been diagnosed with diabetes and are taking the appropriate medications, you should not cancel your therapy, as herbs can become your allies, supporting remedies. This is the main principle that I always convey to my listeners. Herbs do not replace treatment, but complement it. I remember a story that had a huge impact on me. My cousin's aunt, a woman who was already 76 years old, had long suffered from prediabetes. She was very afraid that she would end up getting injections and asked me, "Botanist, suggest something from nature to help maintain her blood sugar level." We agreed that she would regularly drink a brew made from blueberry leaves while also monitoring her diet. After a couple of months, her doctor noticed with surprise, "Your sugar level is stable, without spikes." Of course, this is not a miracle, but the result of her efforts and discipline, with the blueberry infusion being her reliable helper. Therefore, if you have a predisposition to high sugar levels, if you notice constant fatigue, drowsiness, or dry mouth, do not wait for the situation to worsen. Try adding a blueberry leaf infusion to your healthcare routine. This simple and accessible remedy has helped people live longer and more comfortably for centuries. If you have ever heard about the benefits of blueberries or tried them yourself, share your impressions. Write, "I believe in the power of blueberries," or "I just want to try it." Your words can inspire others to take a step towards caring for their own health. And don't forget to support our project by liking and subscribing. It's your gratitude. And for us, a sign that we are moving in the right direction. When you respond, we understand that information about herbs is important to people, and we continue to share it with even more love. Now let's discuss another important organ that many forget until problems arise. This is about the gallbladder. Its functioning directly affects digestion, mood, and overall well-being. In Mongolia, it has always been said, bile is bitter, life is sweet. What does this mean? If bile is secreted properly, food is digested easily. There is no heaviness or bloating, and a person feels lively and energetic. However, if bile stagnates, unpleasant symptoms arise. Heaviness after eating, bitterness in the mouth, fatigue, irritability. This is especially common in the elderly when the muscles of the gallbladder sphincter no longer function as actively as before. In this case, the amazing plant, Immortelle, comes to the rescue. Its golden flowers, as if infused with sunlight, can help restore digestion and bring lightness to the body. Our ancestors believed that this plant promotes longevity, as it gives the body lightness and protects the liver. That is why it was called the immortal, for its ability to preserve youth. How does the immortal work? Its flowers contain substances that carefully activate the gallbladder, promote timely bile secretion, and make it more fluid, resulting in better digestion and normalization of appetite. It is especially beneficial for those suffering from chronic liver and gallbladder diseases. I want to note that Immortelle acts very gently, not causing sharp spasms or overloading the body. Therefore, it is particularly valued by elderly people. Many of them note that just a few weeks after starting the treatment, they feel lightness in their stomach, their mood improves, and they have a desire to move more. However, there are also some warnings. If a person has gallstones, especially large ones, Immortelle can provoke their movement, which can be dangerous. Therefore, I always advise, before starting a course of Immortelle, be sure to have an ultrasound examination and consult a doctor. Only if the path is clear can one harness the power of this plant. Let me tell a story. One day, an elderly man named Chokt came to me. He was 78 years old. He complained of constant heaviness in his stomach and discomfort after eating. I offered him a course of Immortelle, but first he had an ultrasound to ensure there were no stones. 3 weeks later, he returned and said he could now eat without fear, feeling light again, and his mood improved. It's not a miracle, just nature's assistance. Friends, if you have ever had problems with your gallbladder, share in the comments. I understand how hard it is to deal with stagnation, and if you don't have such problems but want to maintain your health, write, "I want lightness in my stomach." This will be your support for those who have faced this problem. And once again, I remind you, if you want more people to know about such simple yet important means, be sure to share this information. We have already discussed the health of the heart, joints, blood, and digestion, but there is still one important topic left: the health of the kidneys and bladder. Many elderly people face frequent urges, mild swelling, and inflammation. Here, nature has also gifted us a helpful plant, the humble leaf of the lingonberry. It will be the final gift of nature in our story. Stay tuned for the 5th and final part that will help maintain kidney health and feel light throughout the body. We reached the end of our conversation, and now I will tell you about a plant that modestly grows in swamps and forests, but has immense power for the health of the kidneys and bladder. It is the leaf of the cranberry. In Mongolia, lingonberries are valued for their berries, but the elderly always emphasize that the true healing properties lie not only in the fruits, but also in the leaves. The cranberry leaf has been used for centuries as a remedy for bladder inflammation, mild swelling, and to maintain kidney health. Why is this so important for older people? With age, the kidneys begin to function less actively, and the bladder becomes more sensitive. Many are familiar with the situation of having to get up several times at night to visit the bathroom, or being tormented by frequent urges during the day, feeling exhausted. These problems significantly worsen the quality of life and deprive peace. A leaf of bilberry helps gently and safely. It contains natural substances like arbutin, which act as antiseptics for the bladder. They reduce inflammatory processes, relieve irritation, and help eliminate excess fluid. This helps reduce swelling and the feeling of heaviness, making urination calmer and less frequent. Cranberry leaves are particularly beneficial for women suffering from cystitis and for older men with bladder issues due to prostatitis. While it is not a magical remedy that solves all problems, it is one of the best natural medicines for support. I remember an elderly man named Namjil who was 80 years old and constantly complained about having to get up 3 times at night. I suggested a treatment course using cranberry leaves. 2 weeks later, he told me that he now sleeps like in his youth, only getting up once to use the bathroom. For an elderly person, this became true happiness, as good sleep is half of health. However, I must remind you that in cases of acute kidney diseases, especially with high fever inflammation, lingonberry leaves should not be used. In such cases, medical assistance is necessary, but for light prevention and support, it is one of the safest and most reliable plants. If you have had problems with your bladder or swelling, write in the comments, "I want peaceful nights," or "I need lightness without swelling." Your words will help others understand that they are not alone in this situation and that there is a way out. In conclusion, I want to say the most important thing. Today we discussed 5 herbs: hawthorn for the heart, sabelnick for joints, blueberry leaves for blood sugar, immortelle for the gallbladder, and lingonberry leaves for the kidneys. Each of them is a small guardian of your health. They do not replace a doctor or cancel medications, but can provide support, allowing one to live longer, calmer, and happier. If you want me to prepare separate material about herbs for the heart or joints, let me know in the comments. Your feedback guides me and helps me understand what to talk about in the next episodes. For you, it may be a simple action, but it fills us with energy and the desire to continue sharing the wisdom of our ancestors and modern achievements. Take care of yourselves, friends. Nature is nearby and always ready to support those who treat it with respect. Stay healthy.